I just want to say chimigwech to our Creator and our grandfathers and our grandmothers, the ancestors, for bringing us this far. All the prayers that were offered, the ceremonies that we did, the pipe ceremonies, hanging out the flags for their loved ones. All those prayers were answered, so I just want to say chimigwech to them, because they heard the families. They loved the families. They expressed so much love to the families and showed it in so many ways during this journey. So I just want to say chimigwech to them. Chimigwech to all the medicines, the pipes, the songs, the drums, and all the supporters. I want to acknowledge Judge Joelle and Chris and Renee, the Crown Attorneys. They're the ones that see the families through this. So I'm just really thankful to them and ask Creator and ancestors to continue to walk with them in their work that they do. I want to say prayer to the families here. Creator, the immense emotions we felt today was very, very powerful. I just shared so much love and prayers to them. I continue to walk with them and take care of them, because they want to bring their loved one home. So chimigwech and egose for today. Egose.
So I just also wanted to acknowledge that we have the AFN Women's Council, the AMC Youth Council, and the AFN Two-Spirit Council here as well, showing support. I just want to acknowledge them in the back there. All right, so Melissa or Ken, which one do you want to go first? Sure. Stay on there. It's stuck.
A little bump.
Is it good here? Okay. Yeah, this one was like, are you sure?
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Just throw it at me.
Hello, bonjour, Anine. My name is Cambria Harris. I am otherwise known as the daughter of Morgan Harris. I also go by the spirit name of West Flying Sparrow Woman. I guess I'll just start off by saying that the last year and a half have had a lot of emotional roller coasters for my family and I. We've had many ups and downs, and after learning the news of my mother Morgan and her being in a landfill, it leaves you with many questions, many whys, many what ifs. What could we have done? What could we do to help Morgan? And it was hard. It was hard watching the emotional turmoil that it caused and the distress that it pushed on my family. It was hard watching all the tears that my family dropped, and I had to be strong for them when they couldn't. I had to be strong for my siblings. I had to be strong for my family. I had to be strong for my ancestors. And this was all work that should not have had to have this is work that we shouldn't have had to have fought for. This is work that we shouldn't have had to have done in the first place. And more importantly, it was something that we shouldn't have ever had to have begged for. And it's a basic human right. You know, my mom's in a landfill and she has the right to a dignified burial. From decisions made by the last previous government in regards to not searching and telling our family face-to-face no, it set a dangerous precedent not only for our Indigenous women, but for our Indigenous people across not only Winnipeg and Manitoba, but across Turtle Island. It was pretty much setting a precedent and a message that said if anyone were to ever end up in there in the future, they were not going to search. And we're seeing that because it happened again and again. When Wob was elected, I remember feeling that little glimmer of hope, knowing that we had a government that would finally do the right thing after waiting months and months and months. 2 years ago, we were told finding my mom was not feasible. which in short told us that they didn't want to do the work and they didn't think our women were worth searching for. That's what it told me, and that's what it told our Indigenous community. That's a sad, sad message and a dangerous message to send. What do we tell our children? What do we tell our future generations when this happens again? If it happens again, because that's what message you were sending out. The overall lack of actions and repetitive no's only pushed our families to work harder. And when they wouldn't do the work, my family took on that work full force. It didn't matter what we lost because we already lost everything. Everything was taken from us, from my mom Morgan, to not being able to bring her home, to not being able to retrieve her, to not being able to give her a proper burial. That was completely stripped of us from the very beginning. We weren't even given a chance. We were told that she wasn't worth looking for. When they said that she wasn't worth looking for, we made it so that she was worth looking for, because she is worth looking for. And we took on that work, and we did work that we shouldn't have ever had to have done. The police should have did it. The government should have did it. But my family pushed hard to get our say, and we're here. And we're standing here, and we can finally say that we're finally searching the landfill for Morgan Harris and Mercedes Myron, and we're going to bring them home. And I can promise you that. And it's hard to trust a system that has so callously failed your family, time and time again, through the child welfare system, through failure on reserves, to displacement, to now my mom ending up in a landfill. And today we found out the man who took my mom's life and the 3 other women's was found guilty on all 4 counts of first-degree murder and criminally responsible. So he knew exactly what he was doing at the time that he committed those acts. And he does not have a mental illness. He preyed on these women at shelters. He took them home and he took their life and then disposed of them in a landfill. That's what happened here. And so if it weren't for the support of the community and all the chiefs standing behind us, I don't know how my family and I could have pushed this far. And I think I also owe it to my family's strength for being able to put up this work with not only myself, but with everyone else too. So, miigwech.
Thank you so much. And that was Cambria Harris, who is the daughter of Morgan Harris. Up next, we have Melissa Robinson, who is cousin of Morgan Harris.
Hi, everyone. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I want to acknowledge our elder, our grandma, Shingoose, for again opening us up in a good way. And we've really relied on her and have leaned on her throughout a lot of this, and we thank her for that. I also want to recognize Assembly Manitoba Chiefs and Grand Chief Kathy Merrick, who has been there since the very beginning, has stood with us, has been there for us, and has told us, don't stop, And, and of course, our national chief, Cindy Woodhouse, we thank her for joining us today. We know that she's also very busy, so we're happy. And then the rest of our Manitoba chiefs and everyone behind us. So I'm just going to talk very quickly about, the last couple of years. And bear with me if I get upset, because a lot has happened, right? And so I think back to the very beginning, in May of 2022, when my cousin Morgan was reported missing, and how quickly our family jumped into action. How many phone calls and tips and posters that were hung up as we looked for her for those many, many months. And it didn't matter the time of day. I remember my husband leaving and going out, all hours of the night to himself, at times to go and look for her. And, we hung on to hope for a really long time, that she was just around and that we would locate her. And I remember in the fall when they called me and they asked for DNA, they said, can you bring one of her children in? The detective called me, and I I remember in my heart, I knew something wasn't right. It wasn't going to be good. And, you know, it's been a really long road of heartache, you know, of grief. You know, our family has had to not sit behind closed doors and love on each other. We've had to do it in front of everyone, you know, across this country. And you guys see the good, the bad, and the ugly of everything we've had to endure. But you guys have only seen a small piece of it. There's been so much that has also happened behind these closed doors, and how beat down we have been so many times over and over and over again. And I want to speak about our resilience and our strength, especially from the women in our family, and how we never took no for an answer. It was never going to be no. You know, no matter how many times we heard it, we said, absolutely not. We are going to find my cousin, and we are going to bring her home, and we're going to bury her properly. You know, the girls here have had to suffer so much because they've been thrown into all of this. You know, this past Mother's Day, I keep going back to when Cambria had to go to Prairie Green landfill on Mother's Day to go hang roses on a chain link fence. Imagine if that was your mom, your sister, your auntie. Would you take no for an answer? No, you would do everything you can. So regardless of everything that we've had to deal with, everything that has been thrown at us, every fight that we've had to endure, we said no. Our family deserves better. Morgan deserves better. So with that being said, we've done everything we could up to this point. You know, we are now, we got the convictions we wanted. We're elated to hear that that monster will never step foot out of a prison again. And I hope that when he does leave, he's going out in a body bag. And you know, I know we were talking around the table this morning, and I said, you know, we've done everything. Now it's just time to bring her home. You know, and we were saying how we know she's here with us. We know she's always traveling with us. She knows we're fighting for her. Because damn, she was feisty, right? And she definitely passed that on to the girls. You know, so I'm very, very elated to hear that the judge, you know, gave that conviction of 4 first-degree murders. And, you know, so now we're changing that outlook on the way people, you know, see our women. Our women are not garbage, and our courts will not allow this. You know, our police need to now step up their game and do their job. You know, and that was the reason why we called them out yesterday. You know, they need to be held responsible for what has happened, for everything that we've had to endure up to this point. And when they told us a year and a half ago it could not be done, here we are now doing it. You know, could have saved us from all of this. And a year and a half ago, we could have buried my cousin then. So, again, miigwech, thank you all for coming. And I could say it's a good day. It's a damn good day to be Indigenous, but man, it's a damn effing good day to be Indigenous today. So, miigwech, thank you. Mm-hmm. Oh, you can, yeah. You want to?
Okay.
So we're going to comment just quickly on
Yeah,
how WAB called all of us and wanted to
Oh,
speak
yeah,
with
for
us.
sure. We're gonna pull it a little closer. 'cause his
We're on a
mic
first name
isn't-
basis with our premier. He is WAB, he is
There,
not the
sorry.
premier.
That's why I said.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'll be quick.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that literally 15, 20 minutes before this press conference started, our premier of Manitoba, Wab Canoe, took time out of his day while he's at Sundance ceremony at that to ask us how we felt about the verdict. And he apologized that they had to take the route that they had to take, but it was just so that we could see justice for all 4 of our women. And I understood why they had to take that route. And now I'm looking forward to finally pushing the work towards searching the landfill. He let us know that our healing lodge was put down on the grounds today. And hopefully within the next few months, we'll be able to start searching.
The ground looks amazing, he said. They did a sample area, and where everything was very legible in regards to the receipts and that, so everything is really kept good in the ground. And so that was very, very good news, he said. And so we're excited to, let's get this going, like, now, so. And also our healing lodge has been moved on site to Prairie Green, and now they're just hooking up everything. So we go back home tomorrow, and, immediately, I think we would like to go by there and see the development of things, because we've been gone since Sunday, so.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
It was tough choosing to come here and miss the verdicts, but we did it because we had to. We can't waste time anymore, and it's important to get these inquiries and whatever it is that we're pushing for to pass, which it passed unanimously yesterday at AFN. But back to the WAP thing, when we were talking about the verdict and how we chose to stay and listen in over online, I told him that I was very, very grateful for Judge Doyle and our Crown attorneys who have been there every step of the way, and I appreciated that they're taking missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls 2S+ more seriously in that courtroom. There was an acknowledgement. We were finally heard in that courtroom today, and he said it very loud and clearly. He callously did it. It was racially driven. And that was enough. That was enough. There's more work to be done.
We got our
Absolutely,
justice.
but we got our justice, and I was thankful that instead of looking them as a name on a list, they treated them as human beings in that courtroom, and they've treated us as human beings every step of the way when the police and the previous government could not. And so I want to thank them for that and for taking that precedent back for our women, that they are worth something, and that it doesn't matter what no serial killer says, even if he's racially driven, they're worth it, and that they're going to do the work, and our Crown attorneys did, so I thank them for that.
Okay, Miss Al.
I'm just gonna move this forward a little bit.
My name is Elle Harris. I am youngest daughter of Morgan Harris, and I just wanted to say, as relieving as this news is, I also feel extremely defeated because of all this hurt, heartbreak, and trauma we all had to endure these past 2.5 years. We had to fight so hard to put a monster away. We had to fight so hard to bring my mother home. And it feels so defeating knowing that they can just shove us to the side like that and try and not be seen and not listen to us. It hurts. It hurts feeling that. We may have put that monster away, but our heartbreaks, they're not over yet. We still need to search for my mom's body, for Mercedes' body, for Buffalo Woman's body. And that's going to be even more heartbreaking because we're going to have close calls. What if, there's animal bones in there? We're going to have all those close calls and get those calls and be like, we might have found something, and then end up not being it. That's going to hurt even more. That's the next part we have to get ready for, and I'm not excited for that. So as excited as we are, we also have to remember what this guy did to our people, what these people continue to do to our people. It's time to start fighting for our people. It's time to start fighting, not only for my mom, not only for Mercedes or Buffalo Woman, but for every other woman, because I'm sure they're sitting behind these screens feeling heartbroken because their daughter's missing, because their auntie's missing, and we're getting this justice and they're not. And I want them to know that I feel for them. I feel for all of you, and you deserve it as much as we do.
Thank you so much. That's Elle Harris, daughter of Morgan Harris. Sorry. And up next we have Cambria Harris, another daughter of Morgan Harris.
I'm Cambria Harris, the second eldest daughter of Morgan Harris. And I just wanted to say that the verdict was a long and anxious wait. Without it, I felt as though I could not grieve. It is all a very surreal experience, not just for myself, but for the entire family. I often question if this is a dream or reality. But upon hearing the verdict today, I cried tears of happiness, relief, and realization that this is in fact very much real and is a new path in our journey as a family and as Indigenous peoples. It is sad how we had to wait so long for our loved ones to be promised a search, but even so, this is progress. And it really highlights how important we are, not just as an Indigenous community, but as people part of a human race. The outcome has restored a bit of hope that I had never had before in the justice system. I'm really grateful and proud with this verdict and of the work our Crown attorneys and Joyal did on our behalf. And I also thank those who support us and those who will continue to support us and be by our side. Thank you.
Anine Buzu, Chimigwech for being here today. I want to recognize that and thank the Kahnawake territory on whose lands we are gathered on. I'd like to thank the chiefs for standing here, chiefs from across the country, joining this family, many chiefs here from other regions, and it's a national issue. And I have to commend all these women I'm sorry that you've had to go through all of this. I'm sorry that you've had to fight so hard, that hopefully another family doesn't have to face this yet again. I want to give our condolences on behalf of the Assembly of First Nations to these grieving families. I want to thank Judge Joyal for doing the right thing, and and the chiefs for being here, and all of you for being here to report on such a hard thing to report on. And it's every time these are heartbreaking, and I hope Canadians stand with these families. Today the verdict was released on the trial of Jeremy Skibicki for murdering Morgan Harris, Mercedes Myron, Rebecca Contois, and Mashkade Bizike Ikwe, Buffalo Woman, in Winnipeg 2 years ago. We want to start by recognizing the strength and the resilience of their families, their loved ones throughout this trial, and assure them of our continued support. And we are pleased that the court recognized the gravity of Jeremy Skibicki's actions and is holding him fully accountable. Today their voices were heard and respected in the final judgment. Alongside our commitment to fight for children, we have been focused on preventing violence against First Nations women, girls, and gender diverse people. Last month was the 5th anniversary of the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Women and Girls final report. In response, the Assembly of First Nations released an evaluation of progress towards the inquiry's 231 calls for justice. Regrettably, we can only find 2 calls that have been fully implemented. The majority showed little or no progress. This failure by federal and provincial governments is not acceptable to our people. Substantive action is needed now more than ever before to guarantee the safety for First Nations women, girls, and gender diverse people. That is why we have been calling on Canada and BC to end the RCMP's damaging efforts to destroy the Picton evidence. Today, we want to let the families and advocates know that we will never stop fighting for you. We will be here for you. The murders and violence have not stopped, and neither can any of us. That is why we have not stopped lobbying the federal and provincial governments to search for our lost sisters in the Prairie Green landfill in Winnipeg. And it's a relief to see that these families will see some justice here today. We hold up the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, Grand Chief Kathy Merrick, and our first Anishinaabe Premier, Wab Kinew, who led this process. Miigwech to both of you. Yesterday, during the 2024 Annual General Assembly, the First Nations in Assembly passed draft resolution number 65. This resolution calls for the Assembly of First Nations to advocate for an independent inquiry in the death of our sisters. We urge the Honourable Anita Neville, the Lieutenant Governor of Manitoba, to establish a commission led by First Nations commissioners to ensure a thorough and respectful investigation. This inquiry must address the shortcomings in the search efforts, evidence management, and the responsiveness of the Winnipeg Police Service and the province of Manitoba. We must honor the memory of these women whose lives were tragically taken. Looking ahead, the Assembly of First Nations will continue to advocate for justice, accountability, and the protection of Indigenous women, girls, and gender diverse peoples. The 5-step plan for a thorough search of the Prairie Green landfill is a critical step forward, but there is still significant work ahead. Substantive action is needed more than ever to enhance the safety for First Nations women, girls, and 2SL LGBTQIA+ people and ensure justice for survivors and their families. The path to justice will not end with the recovery of missing First Nations women. It will take a concerted effort by all levels of government to create a national prevention strategy and implement all calls for justice. We urge that a First Nations-led commission of inquiry into the deaths of Rebecca Contois, Morgan Harris, Mercedes Myron, and Mashkade Bezeki Ikwe will move forward. So, Miigwech, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, National Chief Woodhouse. Up next, we will have Chief Brown. Chief Brown, who is a part of the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs Women's Council, and the Chief of Apostolic Creation.
Good afternoon. My name is Maureen Brown, Chief of Opaskwayak Cree Nation. And on behalf of Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, we extend our sincere condolences to the family and also recognize the bravery and courage that they have displayed over this incredibly trying time. I'd like everyone to take note of Wab Kinew's government, because in this display of Wab's involvement to seek justice is a reflection of First Nation teachings. You heard from the young lady that Wab is currently at ceremony. And as First Nation people and people of this land, of Canada, we recognize that we abide by Creator laws that we come with to this earth. And Wab recognizes that. And swiftly and immediately, as a newly elected chief of Opaskwayak in September, Chief Judge Ryan Rolston contacted me almost immediately. And he recognized that there needs to be a major reformation in the justice system. And I believe that WAB's leadership and Chief Justice leadership has brought us here today. Those are the kind of attributes that we need to move our country forward and to move our people forward as First Nation people to be treated justly and fairly in whatever sector we find ourselves in. This has been an extremely excruciating experience for the families and for our people, because we recognize that we have become disposable on our own land. I grew up hearing, Kinano Magitaskino. This is our home. This is our land. And within the land of this country are our voices, our memories. And right now, as Canadians, all of us, we owe it to the future generations to step up and to make a better future for all of Canada. Thank you for the fellow leaders and everyone here supporting the family. Kikanaskmitna Gagano.
Thank you so much, Chief. Up next, we have Chief Nipnak of Pine Creek First Nation.
Abojuni Chiogimakana, Anishinaabe Quake, Nibin Makwa, Indigenous Makwan Totem. I'm Derek Nipanak, Chief of the Minnegozi-Be Anishinaabe. We're 5,400 Anishinaabe people on the west shore of Lake Winnipegosis in west central Manitoba, and we're members of the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, as well as the Assembly of First Nations. Let me start by saying Kachimigwech to Grandma Shingus for her words. And I want to also acknowledge the power and the strength of the resiliency of the families who are here to have this very, very difficult conversation on what happened to our loved ones from our community, Morgan Harris, Mercedes Myron, Rebecca Contois, and Mushkade Bijekeekwe. It's not an easy conversation to be had. And certainly when we look to the criminal justice system and the steps that have been made to date, and the milestone, this is an important milestone that we need to observe. Because what happens now is a light shines on anybody who's trying to work in the shadows and hurt Indigenous women. A light will shine on you, and the criminal justice system will do its work, will do its job. This is an important milestone for us to observe because you can't get away with it anymore. I want to thank all the leadership who are standing here in solidarity with these families who are able to demonstrate the strength to talk about these things. Because certainly no verdict will wash away the pain and the sorrow and the hurt that we all share, particularly the families that are impacted. This is one milestone in a lifetime and a pathway that's going to be difficult. And I hope that we can all stand together and help all of us along through these challenges. Because as we sit here as Indigenous leadership, I don't know if there's an Indigenous family who cannot speak to this issue and not relate to it, because we've all been impacted. I sit here today as a chief, as a former Grand Chief, but I was once a little boy, 4 years old, when my aunt was sent home in a box after being found in a hotel in Winnipeg. And we buried her with nothing but questions about what the Winnipeg Police Service did in their investigation about what happened to her. barely a decade ago, when I was the Grand Chief at AMC, and I'm so sorry that I couldn't do more at that time, we received word of another serial killer. And I'm not even going to say his name because these people don't deserve to be named. A serial killer who allegedly disposed of my relative, Tanya Jane Nepanak, in a landfill near Winnipeg. The Winnipeg police called me and they said, we're going to look and see and maybe find something. They made that commitment to me. And within a few days, they called me back saying, we can't find anything. I wish I could have done more. I wish I could have acted more like a chief. But I was still that hurt little boy thinking about what's happened to all of our families for so many decades now and generations. Because we're still facing a warfare on the streets of our own cities. And the greatest casualties are the ones we love the most, our mums, our aunts, our cousins. So today is a victory, a partial victory in a long road ahead. And I would like to ask that the scope of this commission that's going to be requested in Manitoba regarding the investigations of these cases extend to include earlier investigations that may or may not have been as thorough as they should have been for our communities and our families who still have questions about our loved ones that go back to the 70s, to the 60s, to the 50s. Because we're still broken. We're still trying to heal from these things. I'd like that inquiry and that commission to include that scope. Include what happened to Tanya Jane Nepanak, because she's my family member. And our family, our extended family, deserves answers too. So I could go on, but I'm not going to. One more time, I want to say that we're here for you. We're here for you families that are here today, made the trip out here. It's not easy to be away from home to have these conversations. I have so much respect for your strength and your resilience in being able to speak to these things because it's not easy. And I lift you up. Miigwech.
Thank you so much, Chief Nepanak. I'm going to bring this, no, okay. We're going to have, just 1 second. Then we'll get back to you guys. Yeah, we'll bring as close as we can. Sorry. Maybe we'll give her the mic. Yeah. Okay.
I think I'm loud.
Just in case.
Okay.
So this is,
Nancy?
Councillor Valentine.
My name is Annie Valentine. I'm a councillor from Mississippi Cree Nation, and I was able to second the motion to get this inquiry going, and I'm very happy to have done that. And I'm very happy to hear the girls talking today, and I am so impressed with the strength that they are projecting. And I hope all the young people that are in TV land are watching and also being impressed and take some lessons from them on how to speak from the heart and be powerful. Chief Heidi Cook could not be here today because we have an incident happening in our community where we've lost 3 young men to the lake. 1 was found and 2 are still missing. It's been 14 days. And I know that the families are sitting by the lake, just looking out onto the water, waiting for some kind of a sign that their families are going to be found. And they may never be found as well. So all of our communities are suffering all of these pains. And what impresses me the most about our communities is how our communities get together and support each other. I'm just so impressed with all the people that have come to Grand Rapids and donated food, people, boats, equipment, and that's what we do. And I know that's what was done for your family, and God bless you all.
Councillor Valentine. Okay, does the family have anything else more you want to add? You guys are good? You're okay with questions? Okay, so, we're now going to open it up if the media has any questions for the family, but just please remember, we gotta slide the thing to each of you before you answer, okay? Yep, ask your question.
First, thank you for being here on what was, I'm sure, a really difficult day. We really appreciate you coming out. The next steps in this is a sentencing hearing. You spoke about how difficult this process has been until now. How do you intend to prepare for victim impact statements and things like that?
I would like to say I've already thought of it all, and I've already thought of every scenario that I could possibly do, and I got a lot of words to say, and I'm going to say them loud and clear that day when court day comes, and I'm going to look him right in the eyes and tell him he's a monster, plain and simple.
Go ahead.
Hi, Jessica Rudinger from CBC News. I just wanted to know what the progress is with the landfill search and whether you're satisfied with the pace at which it's going.
Well, we understand that everything is gonna take time, and there's always gonna be one step that they gotta do before they can get to that next step, right? We've waited this long for myself, and I think for the rest of us. Yeah, again, this should have been done long time ago, but here we are, and we're taking it day by day. I will say that we're meeting bi-weekly right now in regards to sitting down and hearing what next steps are and kind of where we are at in regards to which phase and what's coming up next. So we're being very informed with everything. And at this point, all we can do is just, go with the flow. We have that outline. We know when things should happen next, and that's where we're at with that. We do, I know we have talked a lot about how that plan is going ahead and how we had hoped there would be more involvement with our First Nation leadership, specifically AMC. That's been very important to us. So we definitely are hoping we've put our 2 cents in regards to that, whether or not they can be more kind of involved with things and to also continue to keep it really family-led. So that's been very, very important to us as well. So First Nations leadership, our family-led, and all of that. But
Sensitive.
yeah, trauma-informed, like everything, So with that being said, we know that the Healing Lodge has been moved now to site. And like I said, when I spoke, I know once we're back, we would like to immediately go over and see how things are going. But we're pretty happy. Like, the girls said, we each spoke with Wob while we were having lunch just before coming back. And he let us know that things are looking really good. And we're exactly where we need to be. So there's been no delays. Things are moving, forwards. So that's all we can do.
Okay, should
I just have one question, I'm sorry. And have you and your family been given any, or will you be given any training for the search to be involved in it? Because I understand.
Well,
I sit on the oversight committee, so
Yeah.
I'll be overseeing everything that goes forward in regards to the landfill search, as well as one family member from the Myron family. And while we're not necessarily going to be directly searching, as far as I know, because that's traumatizing,
that's not something we want to be
that's
involved
not
with.
something that we should be
They did
involved
ask
in.
us, and no.
So, but there are other roles that families will play, and it is family-led entirely all the way. And there is someone overseeing everything to make sure that it is family-led and that it is culturally respective, that it is trauma-informed, and that it's for both of our families, it's for our women. That's about as much as I can say.
But to always remember again that these are two families
Yeah.
grieving in two different ways. And when it comes down to the work, we want to be involved as much as possible, but not in regards to the actual searching. You know, we have a really good support team. Our First Nation Indigenous warriors who have held down camp for us for 571 days. Camp Morgan has been burning our sacred fire for our women. And so I know a lot of our warriors are definitely interested in doing that work for us. And we are 100% on board for that because we know that they share that love for our women. We don't want it just being anyone going out there and doing that.
Yeah.
It needs to be, you know, the people that are going to lead with their hearts. I know my husband, George, wants to be on site, not taking part in the action, but you know, watching everything, overseeing everything, you know, as the tractors are, you know, picking up the material and bringing it down the landfill, right, over to the building. And then it'll be laid out in that grid system where they'll then manually do it. My husband will oversee that part. That's what we're requesting, just to ensure that it's being done properly. We don't want them skipping any steps. So, and, you know, honestly, we have no trust in no one anymore. So we want to be there to see every step of the way.
Yep.
So we'll be
24/7. We'll be there every day.
Every
day
single
until
day.
she comes home.
There's bedrooms there. I might just
We can
take
do
all
our
5 of my
laundry.
dogs.
We
So
can literally live there.
yeah, I trust no one at this point. So I don't want them skipping anything or, you know, trying to do shortcuts. It needs to be done properly. And again, this isn't just, you know, about our Morgan. It's about all of our other. We have so many missing women. We are the epicenter for MMIWG 2S+ in Winnipeg, Manitoba. We have so many women that have vanished. Where are they, right? And we think that's why, too, the hesitancy of going forward with the search to begin with was because they know that once they start that work, what are they all going to find? So, yeah, but no, we're going to be very, very involved, just not to that degree. Yeah.
I should have introduced myself before I asked my first question. My name is Alessia. I'm with the Canadian Press. As the National Chief had said, the AFN report from this year found that only 2 calls to action from the inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls were completed since that report came out. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre addressed the Assembly this morning and made no mention of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. What are your thoughts on both of those things, and what
You
can
wanna go
Canada be doing to move this issue forward?
We live in a society where people are too emotionally numb and desensitized to realize a crisis that's going on in front of them, or they realize and they just don't care. And these governments have repeatedly showed over and over again that they don't care. And I find that really sad to know that Pierre would show up on treaty territory and on our people's land and not make an acknowledgement of a very real and ongoing crisis that continues to affect Indigenous people each and every day, let alone on the verdict day, knowing the families in this town. And I think that speaks volumes. I currently have a complaint of discrimination open against the Progressive Conservative Party. And he knows that very well because it was sent to every one of their offices. So he can't tell me he doesn't know what's going on. So I can't put my faith in anyone no more. And so I suggest if he's going to put those boots on, he better start walking them because he's going to start getting a whole load of questions from not only my family, but from advocates, communities, chiefs, and more. It's on.
Any more questions?
Maybe one here. What's the timeline that you guys have, let's say, for the search?
You know better more than I. It really depends. Like with the results that we're getting right now from our pilot test, it's looking really promising. As my aunt said, they're able to read the receipts, so that makes it easier to break down timelines and makes it easier to break down location of where they might be. And so it could be anywhere from 6 months to 3 years, but Wob has told us he believes that it could be done in, what was it, less than a year, I believe? And he thinks that we're going to bring them home. And I fully believe in my heart that we're going to bring my mom home.
I strongly, strongly believe that it will not take long to locate both women. They know exactly, right, as to how far down, how many levels, because everything is topped each time. They know how far down to go. They're looking at that general area in regards to that, you know, those 2 cells. And maybe I'm overly optimistic, but I would like to think that by the end of this year, again, that's me being very overly optimistic, but that we could at least locate my cousin and then go from there. So, but again, no, like Cambria said, for sure within a year, we know. So, yeah. So, and they're looking at starting end of August. The actual work will begin. So, yeah. I think we're good.
I think that was
Yeah,
all.
you're good? Thank you so much for coming.
I think I
Oh,
want to
I'm
add
sorry,
something.
we have a closing
Oh,
prayer.
she
I'll
wanted
want
to
to
say
say something.
Just keep sliding.
I'm not gonna touch it.
I just want to say, as relieved as I am that the search is happening, we were informed that the receipts, everything is cleared. It's for sure able to be done. It's happening. It's been clear a while ago, and this could have started as soon as they found out, and they didn't. I just want to keep bringing that up because that can never be mentioned enough. We were told that the receipts are very much readable, the soil's cleared, everything's cleared out, and they're only just now starting. I just always want to bring that up because that's very, very, very just wrong.
She's speaking in reference to how the police failed us, right?
Yeah.
How they failed our family and the many other families out there. How our Winnipeg police did not want to do that work.
Yep. Yep.
And here we are now doing it when they said it could not be done. So shame on them.
When I was talking to Wob on the phone earlier,
Losing the train.
you know, the decisions that were made previously were really that drastically bad and gruesome when even the Premier of Manitoba calls you and tells your family that you were right. You were right from the very beginning that this work was able to be done. You were right to fight for your mom, and you were right in regards to the timelines, to all the information that you've given the government. You were correct. And we've been saying that for the last 2 years, shouting from the roof of our lungs that this has been happening, and people turned a blind eye. And now look, it's right in front of your faces, and we were right all along. That's all I want to say. Miigwech.
Aho.
Aho.
All right, sorry.
We're good now?
Yeah, thank you so much,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
But
We
before you
appreciate it.
leave, we need to do a closing prayer, please, from our elder. Everybody can stand if you're able. If you can't stand, it's okay.
That's our gangster grandma.
This is gangster grandma. Don't mess with her.
Bonjour. I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't introduce myself earlier. My name is Geraldine Shingus, and everybody calls me Grandma Shingus. But my spirit name's Sky Woman.